There we go. Hi. You are watching Simply SCAdian, no title required, and this is Zoph. Just as a reminder, we are always looking for guests. We're going to be going on hiatus. I think we have three more shows, and then we're going to be going on our summer break. For our fifth season, we are looking for more guests. That starts in September. So if you know people, if you are people, and you're interested in being on the show, the only rule is no peers. We do not want to talk to peers. Peers are awesome people, but this show was started because we realized that regular folks have lots of cool things to say about being in the SCA. And those are the people we want to talk to. So no peers allowed. No landed or court baron and baronesses allowed either. But if you fit the criteria, please, we have on our Facebook page a form linked there, pinned at the top of the page. Please fill that out. Recommend yourself or a friend. As always, we're trying to get Lucas's wish of having somebody from not the East Mid Athol Marker Atlantia on the show, because that's where most of our guests are from. And he would really love a Drachenwald person. Speaking of Lucas, he is really sorry that he is not here again tonight. His eldest child is in a series of one-act plays at the high school. So he, of course, family comes first. That's my number one rule. Family always comes first in the SCA. So that's why he is not with us. But to make up for it, I have the most awesome guest ever. Aurelia Colleoni a Bucaferno
Perfect.
has been playing in the SCA since January 2016. She is an East Kingdom scribe and fencer, but is also interested in many different arts and sciences, spending the rest of her time working on embroidery and creating garb. She dabbles in dancing and cooking as well. At events, if she is not running it, she is probably teaching a class, running an Athena's thimble meeting, marshalling fencing, or helping in some other way. On Facebook, she runs a persona workshop group, posting weekly questions to help people delve deeper into their personas. She also runs the Great Medieval Bake Off, an Facebook group that she started during the pandemic to help people connect from the safety of their kitchens at home, offering a series of baking challenges. She has served locally as a web minister, chronicler, fencing officer, and seneschal. At the kingdom level, she serves as Northern Region Deputy to the Signet and the Special Projects Deputy for the Kingdom Minister of Arts and Sciences. Whoa, girl. All right. Well, welcome, Aurelia.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, though. I'm another Easterner, so we're not
I know,
making
but
that dream happen.
that's okay. That's all right. So first question we always ask, how did you find the SCA?
I accidentally found the SCA. I was scrolling on Facebook and a friend posted that they were going to this event. I was living in Vermont at the time, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going to this thing in New Hampshire. Should be cool." I clicked on the event, and I was like, "I got nothing to do this weekend." So I drove 2.5 hours to what was Burka, and was like, oh my God, this is what I've been looking for. Had a really weird day, but was like definitely hooked. And when I got back, I found my local group and they stuck a sword in my hand, and I was just like done. And that was back in 2016, so 8 years ago.
So how was Burka weird for you?
It was just like I was like following around people, being like, "Tell me more about this game. What's going on? What's this? What's that?" And I think I like overwhelmed my friends' friends. I actually know that I overwhelmed them. But I was just like, like, what do I do? How do I join? Like, do you do this all the time? Like all those like typical newbie questions that like Scadians field all the time. Um, but yeah, I was just like walking around for a while, like totally overwhelmed, and like I don't think I left like the main ballroom where the sales were happening. For those of you not in the East, Burka is like this huge shopping event, but there's also fencing and fighting and dancing in court, none of which I even knew existed. I don't think I made it past that room, but I was just like just so totally overwhelmed with everything. It was like just a crazy day, and I left being like I want to do this. Like
That is so cool. But Burka is different from other events because it's held in a hotel. So it's
yes.
very different from your typical SCA event held in a school, church, or outdoor site.
Hmm.
So was it hard for you to get used to other events, having Burqa in a hotel as your first event?
It was definitely weird. I, I think it took a after Burqa, it became like art and science season. So the next event I went to was a novice scala, which was like really perfectly timed. So I was able to go to all these different classes and kind of figure out what else was going on in the SCA. It gave me enough time to make my own first set of garb, which was awful. And I think I gave it away to Gold Key because I'm just like, no, we are so far past this. Um, but I was able to explore a couple of things, like see if I was interested in some stuff. Some of the stuff I like immediately took to, some I would come back to a couple years later. But I was just like, okay, this is what this could be. And then my third event was a local one in my shire, and it was more of like a spring opener kind of thing. And there was fencing outside, and I'd been going to practices for a couple of months at that point. And I was like, okay, this is the other side with the feast and stuff like that. So with each little bit more of the different kinds of events that I was going to, I was just getting more and more hooked onto everything. And I was like, okay, this is so many things. Like it can be all the things, you know. Yeah, I can do all the things, like that classic pitfall that we all start with and like kind of fall hard into, most of us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, I was a little different, but but that was 30 years ago, so there wasn't as much to do back then. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but we were so much smaller. The SCA was so much smaller 30 years ago.
Mhm.
Anyway, so tell me about Vermont. What's the local group that you were in Vermont?
I was in both groups at a time. The first group I started with was Mountain Freehold, and that is the west side of the state. So it's divided by a mountain range. And then I had moved a couple of years later and played with Pantherville the rest of my time there. Um, so really small groups, very far apart because Vermont is very spread out and there's only like small population centers. So unless you lived in like the main cities, like you're driving to get to everywhere. Not a lot going on, but like it was always like there was fencing practice every week and then the occasional event, and you just drive to go to other things that were nearby, like within 4 hours.
Yeah, that's another East
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
4 hours is nearby. But now you live up in Maine,
yeah, in Malagentia.
Malagente. I was going to try to say the name and knew that I would completely screw it up, so I wasn't going to. What's it like living there?
Malagentia is awesome. Um, People are really friendly, even though the name means bad people or people behaving badly. They still do that, but there's fencing practice. There's a different kind of art meetup every week. So one week it's Scribble, one week it's dance practice, one weekend it's crafting, one weekend it's games. So there's like always stuff to do at all times. And then occasionally there's an event going on too, or you can just like drive a few hours to another event. So it's great. It's very different than Vermont where everything is spread out, but it was definitely a hard adjustment because I did love my Vermont people, but I love my Maine people too.
So the first thing you got into was fencing, correct?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and are you still an active fencer in the SCA?
I am, yeah. It was like something that I never thought I would do because how often does someone put a sword in your hand? It's not like one of your everyday activities. At least it wasn't for me. So I kind of was like excited about this thing that, you know, I've seen in movies and that I could possibly do this. I could be a fencer. And the clothing was cool and the swords were cool, so I was there for it. It took me a while to get over like, oh, you want me to hit you with the sword? Like I was like, no, okay, did that. But yeah, it was kind of just like the way I got in because I think fencing practices are just so like fencing and fighting is just such a flashy way that once you see it and you learn that you can do it, like it kind of makes that medieval Renaissance dream like a little more real. So I did that. I've been doing that for 8 years. Became a marshal as soon as I could because I just wanted to like be able to give back. Um, and I like to consider myself a good, like a fun fight. I might not be the best fencer, but at least like you'll probably have a good time when you're fencing me. And I just love that. Um, they're good people when
Uh-oh. Aurelia has frozen. We're gonna just wait right here, unless it's me that's frozen. There
Oh,
you are.
oh no, my connection is
Froze.
unstable.
Oh no, no unstable
Okay.
connections allowed.
Oh, that's the only kind I know. It's fine.
Um,
I don't know if it where it kicked me out, but I
uh,
was rambling on about fencing.
you were rambling. So, which brings me to something that I've wanted to ask an East Kingdom fencer about,
Hmm.
the variance. Let's just talk about it. The request for the variance for crown tourney that was
Okay.
asked,
Yes.
and rejected. Come
Hmm.
back to us with more information. So the East Kingdom is moving ahead with trying to make this happen. What are
Right.
your thoughts as a fencer and as a marshal in fencing on the whole variance to have crown tourney decided by fencers?
I was ready to sign up for the first crown.
Yeah.
I really was. I think it's great that the East is trying to kind of figure out how to make Crown more accessible to more people. And there are some great conversations that were had in the last reign, and I hope that really continue in this next one about why this is so important. Because I understand that for a lot, heavy list fighting, armored fighting is the foundation of the SCA, but it does leave out a lot of people who will never or could never maybe become king or queen or monarch in some way because they're not connected to the heavy list community. So I love that we're opening it up and trying to still maintain that foundation, like not get rid of heavy list crown, but also figure out ways that we can include as many people as possible. And I love that the East is doing that and having really healthy conversations about it as well.
Yeah, I filled out the survey. I figure being an
Yeah.
Eastie by birth, I'm allowed to fill out the survey, so I did, and
Yeah.
it's something I really support. And I don't know how many of my listeners actually know this. I don't tell the story very often, but when I first was trying to find out who I was in the SCA, I lived in Adamant, which is the state of Delaware. And I became the minister of the lists, which for people who are not from the East don't know that that is actually an office in the East Kingdom. And I became the minister of the lists, and the fencers took me under their wing and taught me how to run lists. So now I can run any kind of tourney because, 25 years ago, they taught me how to run every kind of tourney. And we just had an absolute blast together, me and the fencers. So, we were the redheaded stepchildren of the SCA back then. We were sent, I mean, it was just like, look, here's this abandoned forest. Go into the forest and find the clearing, and in the clearing you shall fence. Like we were so far away from any other of the activities versus today where the fencers are right there in the middle of it all. Right. And I only got my AOA. I ran fencing tourneys for 2 years, and I only got my AOA because somebody called me, Master Lorcan Dracontius called me from Bacale, called me and said I lost my armored, excuse me, list mistress. Will you come in and run it at this demo? So I came in and ran the list for the armored combatants, and the next weekend I got my AOA. I was like, for 2 years, I'm hiding in the woods with the fencers, and it took running one armored
Yeah.
combatant tourney to get my AOA. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not completely surprised, but
Oh, but I mean, if you ask any of the old fuddy-duddies like me, we can tell
mm,
you what it was like when fencing was first introduced in the SCA. It was just
yeah.
redheaded stepchildren. I
Oh
know
yeah, I've heard the
it's horrible,
stories.
but yeah. So
I've heard the songs too. They're good.
there's songs about it.
Ye- Yeah, there's a couple songs about there's a one bard out in the West who has some great songs that are make fun of some of the things in the SCA.
We're gonna have to talk when we're
I'll send you a link after this.
okay, thank you. All right, so
Well,
let's dive into the stuff that you do. You spend your time doing embroidery. So
yes.
how did you get into it? Was this something you grew up doing, or
Yeah.
was this an SEA thing?
I never at the novice school I went to, the second event I went to, there was a intro to embroidery class, and I had never tried it before, and I was just like, yes, this is something I want to do. I grew up doing art, so I love to do as many kind of different arts and crafts as I can. but that was something that I found was different and something that I wasn't doing in my regular life that I really wanted to just like hook onto. And there were so many different ways to do it. And then I found out there was like Athena's Thimble, which is our Kingdom Embroidery Guild. And they give you beads and ranks and stuff. And as like a former Girl Scout, I was like, oh my God, I want to collect all the badges. Yes. So I had to do that. And then there wasn't like a huge scene in Vermont. So I was like, okay, I have to become a senior member so that I can run panels in Vermont and bring embroidery. And so now I do that too. But yeah, there's just so many opportunities for art. I like that.
Yeah, that is awesome. So, but oh, I just flipped to the wrong screen. So, and garb. So you sew too. Me, I can, but it looks like crap. So I pay other people to make me garb.
That's fair.
So how did you
Yeah.
get into, was it just necessity that got you into making garb?
So in college, I was a theater minor and wanted to get into costume design. I had done costume design in high school. I was a thespian. I competed in local and state competitions for that, and I really just loved that aspect of theater. I like being behind the scenes, making the pretty clothing for the people. I didn't want to be on stage. And then with the SCA, I was like, I can wear the stuff that I make. This is cool. So I was slowly building I didn't have like that many skills sewing wise. So I was like, I'm going to build my skills and try to just create garb until like I can get the kind of look I want. So I kind of taught myself as I went and just took classes and asked people that I was like, hey, you look cool. Like, how can I look like you? And that usually leads you good places.
Nice.
Mhm.
So, how did you choose your name? I mean, so what kind of garb do you typically wear? Are you like, a multi-century wearing garb person?
In the summer, anything goes because heat is a thing. But I typically tend to go 15th century Florentine. Um, I kind of built my way up to that. Before COVID, I really just was whatever garb I could make, whatever my skill set was, whatever I bought. It was whatever I hadn't really like fully fleshed out my persona yet because it was like in progress. But that was my big COVID challenge was to make garb that would fit Aurelia. Um, I felt I like fell into my persona. I didn't know who I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. There was too many options. I wanted to do tutor because I'd always loved that time period, but I did not have the sewing skills to make Tudor Elizabethan garb. So I was like, okay, maybe I should look elsewhere. And I heard very quickly that if I didn't pick a name, they were going to assign one to me, and I could not think of anything worse. So yeah, that whole like, oh, we're going to get you. No, okay. So I like looked up some names that would be good across like different countries in Europe, and I made a list of them. And the first one on the list was Aurelia, and that's as far as I got. Um,
It suits you. Aurelia suits you.
yeah, I like it. I was also like, yeah, I don't know any Aurelias. Me being in very small shire in middle of nowhere, Vermont, having not gone to many events, and as soon as I picked my name, I met like four other Aurelias at my next event. And I had a friend who was like, yeah, we didn't want to tell you. You were so excited. And I was like, it's fine. But yeah, over COVID, I really just wanted to make sure that like I came back to the SCA in person in the garb that I had always envisioned for this persona that I was creating. So a lot of like research and
And we are frozen again, so we are going to wait for Aurelia to come back. While we wait, I'm just going to let you know that you can comment on the video here in Facebook. Let me know any
am I
questions.
here?
Now you're back. You said you were
Okay.
researching and then we lost you.
Okay, so it wasn't that far. That's good. Yeah, so I was researching how to make these pieces that would be historically accurate so I could feel like my more of my persona and connect more with the SCA when we return to in-person things.
I look like I have a severe sunburn and I'm trying to figure out how to make, okay, we're just gonna turn that light off because I look like a lobster. Okay, so speaking of persona, that leads me to the next thing I wanted to ask you. You have started this really cool persona workshop group on Facebook. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. So a year ago, a little over a year ago, I decided to I liked using Facebook over COVID to kind of connect to people and find things. And there's so many good resources on Facebook. and I was trying to figure out my persona and kind of delve deeper. And I had taken like a few classes. Um, Online was really great, and I had taught a class over when we were still doing more of the virtual events about how to make a persona, what is a persona, and I had like found all these questions online, some great resources, and people seem to enjoy like having those and having like wanting to have those conversations more. So I decided maybe a Facebook group where I posted like a weekly question so that you're kind of exploring your persona a little chunk at a time rather than trying to like look at it at a big picture. And people were willing to go along this ride with me and just like some people have their personas like super fleshed out. They have like every backstory, they know every like aspect like it's themselves. And some people are still just trying to figure it out. So the group kind of works on multiple levels like that because you can look to these people who have figured things out, and then you can also kind of like get inspiration if you're still on your journey and figuring things out and saving the questions for later. And then people started to kind of like post their own questions, which has been really cool. So it's not just me, but people, there are a lot of people lurking, and then there's some people who answer questions every week. And I don't have all the questions, the answers. I'm just like, I'll think of something like what's going on this week, and try to post something relevant, and I'll have to look up and research it myself. And it helps me to just figure out who Aurelia could have been. Like, who is this person? How do they connect things? I like a fun research project, so my persona is that. And I like that other people enjoy it too. So it's been fun. I really love like every Wednesday I post, and I look forward to Wednesdays for that reason.
So if somebody wanted to find it on Facebook, what would they search for?
SCA Persona Workshop.
Okay, because I'm gonna go join it when we're done talking. Because I have spent a lot of time diving into who Zoph is, and it's interesting because Zoph is a ninth century Hungarian woman, and I just did my DNA because my grandfather came over from Hungary when he was a child, and I'm not Hungarian. I'm Polish and Slovakian, which my son so helpfully told me. Well, during the Austria-Hungarian Empire, Poland and Slovakia were part of Hungary, but my cousin who did the exact same test, my first cousin came back Hungarian. So anyway, so now I've started diving into more Polish and Slovakian stories because I figure if I'm Polish and Slovakian, I might as well tell some of their stuff too.
That's
Um,
cool.
anyway, okay, so SCA Persona Workshop is the name of the
Yes.
group. So
Yes.
let's talk about your other group that you have on Facebook, the Great Medieval Bake Off. Is that still an active group or is that
Yeah, it's still active. We just finished a second challenge. So that's been around for 2 years, maybe a little longer. I was watching a lot of Great British Bake Off, and during COVID, we were all trying to make sourdough bread,
yeah,
some more successfully than others. No,
do it?
can't. We don't get along. But there are some other cool things, some other cool bakes. So once again, like being home, kind of being isolated, I really wanted to just connect to the SEA so desperately. And so I did this group too. And it was very local at first. It was mainly just Panther Vale people. And then they invited their friends. And now we have people from all over, which is still blows my mind that other people are doing this. But we have some really impressive cooks that I can't like I'm just like to do this for fun, and these people are taking it to a whole nother level. So I based it very much so on the British Bake Off. And so we'll have a monthly challenge because I wanted to give everyone enough time because life is busy and hectic. So we'll do a monthly challenge, and I like to do things that can be interpreted in a bunch of different ways. So it's you're not like stuck with something. Um, so we'll do some of like the classic things. So we had like a sweets one, we had a subtleties, we had spices. So every month you just had to do something that fit into that however you felt like it did, because it's like a make your own adventure. I'm not policing this. This is for fun. And then you post a picture of what you made with the recipe so other people can try it. And then I would like encourage some, if you had someone to taste test it, for them to leave their review too, so other people knew. And whoever did all the challenges in time was the star baker. So you can have multiple winners. So we did 2 seasons. We just finished season 2 in April. and I think three people were star bakers, and one was really close, and I felt bad. They posted the last day. But then we also had some challenges. Like we had March Madness last year, which every week you had to do a different one. So that was a little crazy and hectic. And then I had everyone vote on their favorites. So whoever had the most votes won. And I try to like mix it up every season. And we might do a summer challenge that's like more low key because camping is the thing. But yeah, it's growing and people are enjoying it. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as people are showing up for it.
So have you thought about doing any cooking in the SCA, like doing a feast?
I did a day board once and
Yeah.
that was good enough for me. Yeah, I did when I was in Pantherville, I did a day board. I think I made more soup and cheese and bread. I don't even remember what I made, but I was just like, I did that. I checked it off my list. I'm good. I like cooking for my friends. Like that's good enough for me if we did like a little small thing. But no, I'm happy to support my local cooks. I'm happy to benefit from what they do, but I am not a mass baker. No, mm-mm.
Yeah.
No. And
Uh,
I'm okay with that because I do enough. And I'm like, this is just not for me. It's a good feeling when you find things that are not good for you in the SCA.
so speaking of things that you are good at, though, you're also a scribe.
Yes.
So how did you get into that?
That is a longer story. So when I went to the novice Scala, I did take a Scribble class, and I was like, this is way too similar to what I do in real life because I'm a painter. I went to school for art. I've been making art my entire life. I didn't want that to be my SEA thing because it was already my real life thing.
Hmm.
So I held off on it for a couple of years, and then I think like 2 or 3 years in, I wasn't playing as much locally and was kind of taking a break because I went so hard into the SEA. So I was like, okay, what can I do at home? What would be fun? I was like, oh, Scribble, like maybe I'll try a medieval painting. I'll do some like examples. Like what is a scribe anyway? So I kind of Scribble kind of got me back into the SEA after I had this whole like kind of dark funk after the first like year or so. And then I just really loved that experience of court and seeing the scrolls go out and seeing the people getting so excited about the scrolls, which really like fueled my desire to be an Eastern scribe. And I'm biased. I think Eastern scribes are the best. We do amazing stuff, and there's a lot of great people who give up so much of their time to kind of recognize the stuff that volunteers do to make this kind of dream happen. So it's been a fun challenge, and I've been enjoying bringing my own kind of like artistic flair to the scribes that I do, and the scrolls that I do, the scribes that I do, the scrolls that I do. And I love like being able to make them for my friends and people I know, or just like somebody who lives in a really rural shire and doesn't go to a lot of events and has been doing something for 10 years and finally is getting recognized. Like there's something really special about being able to contribute to that. And so I've been doing that for like about 6 years now, I think. And I've made probably 60 scrolls. I did the math last year. It was scary. Um, but everything from like award scrolls to prize scrolls to blank scrolls, backlogs. There's a lot of people doing great things. There's a lot of scrolls that are needed. But it's nice.
Yeah, Mistress Audrey, the former seneschal, posted
Mhm.
just yesterday, was it, that she had been at the Met and saw people had used shards of pottery. Did you see her post on this
I
to write
didn't see it.
things down? So they gave an award. Keelan and Brennan, I guess, gave an award to someone, or maybe it was a different rain, gave an award to someone that was written on a piece of pottery. It wasn't like a whole pot, it was a shard, which is
Yeah.
what they had done. So it was really cool. And I think the thing that I noticed is that the East Kingdom seems to be so inventive. Like the first time I ever saw a stone scroll was in the East Kingdom. I'm not saying it started in the East Kingdom,
Right.
but it seems like the East Kingdom, y'all are really willing to push all the boundaries you can push when it comes,
Yeah.
especially the scribal arts.
Especially Scrabble. Yeah, we like our loopholes here. But yeah, we do a lot of non-parchment scrolls, which is really cool. And the thing that I love that we embrace in the SCA is Scrolls, I think, are one of the most anachronistic things that we do. They're not historical. We're taking them completely out of context and we're making them suit our purposes. And we've all collectively agreed that this is okay. And I love that.
Yeah.
So, like, I've seen scrolls that have Pokemon on it. I've seen scrolls that have, like, I made a scroll once that referenced a TV show about ancient Greek people, no, ancient Romans. Oh my God, my friends are going to kill me. Ancient Romans that had to do with my friend's persona. And I just included all that. And I'm like, it flies. And people who get it, get it. Um, so yeah, we do a lot of cool things. Our queen that just stepped down, so now Countess, she was like really well known for her stone scrolls that she would make. So that's fun. We have a lot of really talented and creative people.
Yes, you do. I mean, the mid
Mhm.
realm does too. I can't lie. I don't want to
I'm
throw
not,
shade on my middies.
they're not, it's not just us. I'm just saying we have a lot of them.
Yes, yes, and you guys do awesome work. Um, so what else can we talk about here? So we talked a little bit about Athena's thimble. Do you know enough to go more into Athena's thimble for me?
Yeah, absolutely.
So how did
Um,
it start? Tell me more about Athena's thimble.
oh, I don't know how it started.
All right, just tell me what you know.
Yeah, so it's a embroidery guild, so it goes throughout the East Kingdom, and there are people of different levels. So you just have to be someone who is interested in embroidery, and you're automatically part of the guild if that is your desire. And there's 12 different categories of embroidery, everything from free to black work, counted, um, open work, laces, some like kind of lace work too, gold work. Um, what's really cool is you can bring it to a panel and show off your work, and there are different levels. So it could be a like work in progress. You can show a finished piece. You can show a piece that would have been made in period, and you can also kind of do like a senior level expertise panel where you show a body of work based on one type of embroidery, like black work, and it's kind of like a collection of things. And then you have like different rankings. So you can be like a journeyman, you can be a senior member, you can contribute by being on a panel, you can just be in the audience and enjoying, you can show up and just ooh and ah. It just allows for a lot of flexibility. And however you want to participate, which is really nice. And anything goes, like you can bring modern cross stitch and you can show it off and get a beat in that. So it really allows for that modern sensibility if that's what you're doing and that's what you're passionate about. But if you really want to go into that historicalness of a piece, you can also do that too.
How many people are members of Athena's thimble?
That's a great question. I'm sure like a lot, like probably like 100 or two.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that do it. It's like oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I'm gonna look
Well,
that up later.
we'll also have to look and see if they have a website. I'm sure they
They
have.
do have a website, Keeper of Athena's Thimble.
All right. Somebody go look it up and tell me how many members there are. Not you. We're talking.
I was not going to.
I'm
Oh, I did
talking to
not.
my audience, right? The only comment we've had so far is the Persona Workshop has some creative and fun questions. Well, thank you. And I will go check it out so that I can join in to tell everybody to figure out more about Zoph. I think I have her pretty set.
Hmm.
Zoph has, been around for forever, 30 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have served locally as a web minister, chronicler, fencing officer, and seneschal. But then
Hmm.
at the kingdom level, you serve as Northern Region Deputy to the Signet and the Special Projects Deputy for the Kingdom MOAS. What is a Special Projects Deputy?
If they need someone to do something that doesn't fit a role, I do it. So right now, what I'm working on are some comprehensive guides to help local Minister of Arts and Science officers run competitions, displays. Um, there's a third one, and classes. So I've been putting together these kind of topical guides to help people do that. So I've done the class one. It's a lot about like the behind the scenes. How do you put together classes? How do you advertise? How do you make a good experience for your teachers and for the people attending the classes? Things to think about, things to take into consideration, like space and lighting, and like, do you need electric because sometimes we do, even though we play medieval, we enjoy the modernness of the world. How much time do you need? Where should you post? What are good resources to get teachers? What are good resources to share? Things like that. And the next one I did was the displays. So what's a display? How do you do it? Um, Making sure you have security so pieces don't walk off, things like that.
Wait, that
Um,
happens? Wait, does that really happen?
it can. I don't have like an example, but it's a concern. People are people, unfortunately. Um,
Oh,
we talk a lot right now about consent. Like, how do you make sure people are getting the feedback they want? If they want feedback, how to ask your displayers or competitors about feedback. Um, Having those conversations, especially with the audience, that's something I'm not working on that, but someone else is about if you want to attend arts and science events, how do you do that the right way? Not that there's a wrong way, but sometimes putting your artwork out there is scary. Like you're putting a piece of your soul, and it might be something you're really comfortable with, and it might be something like this is your first time. So if someone comes and rushes at you with feedback, you might not be ready for it. You might just want to have it there, and that's enough for you. We talk about placing, like having tables, having chairs for people, like just like the little things that you might not think about when you're running your first display. And then the big one is the competition. Like, uh, why were you running a competition? How do you do that? There's so many pitfalls that you can get into. We just had our big king and it's not king and queens, it's king and consort. Oh, I'm so bad. I don't remember. But our big like kingdom level arts and science event. So we're trying to put together a guide for local people as well because it has different needs, and so we want to make sure that people feel comfortable entering and running them.
okay. We have an answer to the question, by the way. Janet
Lovely. Oh, she's the best.
Hobaugh is letting us know that the website has 515 entries, but not all are active. Wow.
A lot of people.
That's a lot of people
Yeah.
throughout time that have joined Athena's Thimble. That's really
Mhm.
impressive. We just started 5, 6 years ago. Someone who was just elevated actually last weekend created the Mid Realm Guild of Embroiderers, and I can't wait for 20 years from now to have for them to have 515.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you guys should be really proud of that. So, so you're a service junkie though. Like
I have
you
a
bring
helium hand.
all of the, yeah. So what's up with that?
It's a problem, so I've been told. But um, I just got really excited about the SCA when I joined, and it gave me this kind of other piece of my life that I really just wanted to be able to give back to people. So I'm one of those people, if I see a need, I jump in and do it, um, for better or worse. And there are a lot of ways that you can like enjoy your event. I'm working on that whole balance thing. I hear it's a thing. I hear people like can go to an event and not work.
Yes.
I'm working on that. But I think I like running events. Events are fun to run. I like being the behind the scenes person, making sure things go. I love teaching. I was a teacher up until recently. So I love being able to teach and share the things that I know because other people taught and share the things they know with me. And I don't think I would have a lot of my interests without some of the people who just volunteered their time. One of my first experiences when I joined the SEA was with Duchess Marika, and she invited me over to my house, not having ever met me, and was like, "Come over and I'll teach you how to do tablet weaving." I never finished the project because that's one of those things that's not for me. My brain doesn't work. But it was just like she didn't have to do this. She didn't have to open her home to me, but she did. And she spent a couple hours teaching me something. And that was just a great experience. And I wanted to be able to do that for other people as well. 'Cause that's how this whole shindig runs. If we don't like give back, it doesn't happen.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I like to try all the jobs. Like when I was in Freehold, they needed a web minister, so I taught myself. I did a little bit in college, not a lot, but I was enough to be dangerous. So I like did that, and then another group needed essential, so I was like, yeah, I want to do that. It was fun. It was an experience, but I like trying roles and I like helping when I can. But yeah, balance.
Yeah. Yeah. What's one of Zoph's rules? It's okay to say no.
Yeah, no is a good word.
Yeah.
No is a good word.
Let me think about it is a better thing to say.
Hmm.
That way you're
Hmm.
not jumping on until you sat down and thought about it. All right. Anyway, next question. Are you a dependent to any peers?
I am a dependent. I am an apprentice to Master Tiberius. So he's my Laurel. He does pottery, so I can't wait to talk to him about that pottery scroll that you brought up because that's really cool. Um, yeah, I've been his right before COVID. I took a belt from him,
So,
literally like January 2020. Was it? No, 2019. 2019. Yes.
yeah, sure. Okay, last answer. All right.
Yes, final answer. Lock it in, Regis.
So I want to circle back to something you had said. You
Hmm.
talked about the fact that you're a painter
Yes,
for your career. That's what you
yes.
do. And so at first, well,
It
it's
doesn't
a
pay the bills, but yes.
yeah, but so there's a lot of people I know who have talked about um my Aurelia, the Baroness of the Cleveland Group, is a professional painter, but she got her laurel for her paintings because she took her abilities and dove in deeper to medieval paint styles and started recreating and researching and studying those. But what's the drawback? I was a professional actress, right? So I didn't do much theater in the SCA because I got paid to do it in the real world. And then I got pregnant with my child. I was a single mother, so I had to give up my theater career and I became a computer person because that's what all the theater people seem to do is they become IT people. Um, and started the Known World Players so I could still get my theater fix, right?
Hmm.
But what is the issue? I guess what I'm stalling for time as I come up with the right way to phrase this question. What is the issue with people who do stuff professionally, who then take that professional talent into the SCA and get dinged for it? Like, are we supposed to ignore what our mad skills are in? I don't even know that it's a question. It's more like a thought thing that I'm having
Yeah,
with you. You know how people like are
yeah,
merchants are punished. If you're a merchant, how dare you make a living off of selling the art that you do, right? Because
yeah.
merchants really are punished. I only know a few merchants who've managed to break that bubble, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
what is the issue, do you think, I guess, that some people in the SCA have with professionals bringing that professional skill into the SCA and doing things with it?
Feel like it shouldn't be a problem because if it was, I'm just thinking of like all the people who do martial arts and are athletes who come in and do armored combat or do fencing or sport fencers and come in and do it and excel quickly because they have those skills because they've developing them for years, but it was outside the FCA. So I feel like there might be this bias where people want SCA made craftsmen or fighters or this that you've come up with everyone else in your group. Like that's the only thing I can guess.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't be punished because we don't all enter the SCA at the same time. We don't all enter at the same skill level. And if we didn't bring our interest into the SCA, what would the SCA really be? I'm like
Right.
it
Right.
sounds like jealousy if I had to put a name on it, but I mean that's kind of sad because no one should be punished for like the things that they excel at. Because if you're an artist and you come in and you're good at Scribble, then you're giving back to the community by being good at Scribble. If you're coming into the like fighting realm and you're good at this, you're giving back by being good at it and teaching other people and lifting other people up by like challenging them. Um, and I have heard about the merchants and people being penalized for playing that way, which people are so excited when there are merchants and they want to throw money at things and they contribute to the game. And it's sad that people consider some contributions lesser than others.
Yeah.
Um, I think that is some of the reason maybe I didn't necessarily like want to come in with Scribble is because it was this like outside thing that I did. And I wanted to explore the inside things that I was doing in the SCA. And people kind of like, oh, you're good at how did you get good at this? Like I've been practicing these skills, but I don't know. I think you see that in the mundane world as well. When you're good at something and do something and maybe you don't get the best reaction.
Right. Yeah. I think jealousy is a good thing to way to name it. I think it's people who don't believe in themselves and you know, one of the things I try to tell people all the time, because some people come up to me and say, Zoph, I want to be just like you. Zoph, I want to be you. And I go, I'm already taken. Why don't you be the best you
Right,
can be?
right,
Instead of trying to be like me because I'm unique and individual and you're unique and individual. Everybody is unique. And how about you find your own gifts, your own strengths and
mhm,
work on those. And I think too many people are busy worrying about what everybody else is doing instead of just focusing on their own.
right. And I think that's a very human thing to like naturally want to compare ourselves to other people. Like my scrolls do not look like other people's scrolls. And so that's like a special thing about art. And that's something that when I talk to people, when I talk to my former students about is you want to be you. You want your unique things to come through in the art that you're making and putting out in the world. Like I don't want to be the next like Van Gogh. I want to be the next Ashley Rubenstein or Aurelia Colleoni. I want to be me and I want my art to look like me. Um, and I want to fight like me or do service like me or talk like me. I don't know.
No, I completely agree. I get what you're saying. But okay, all right. So we, believe it or not, are almost out of time.
Okay. I do want to say that I'm also a cadet to my dog,
Okay, so we're still talking
Cedric of the floppy
characters.
hat. I am
Okay.
so sorry if you're watching. I'm so used to having that answer. But yes, yes, two SEA relationships.
Is that new that you became a cadet
It
recently?
was during COVID. Um, yeah, so it's not new. It's just I'm
Girl,
a
you
little
are in
flaky.
so much trouble.
Probably. That's usually the case. It's fine. I remembered in time.
So is mod a goal of yours?
It's not a goal. Um, I I do want to be a pelican and I want to be a laurel. I want to get better at fencing for the love of fencing. And that's something that has taken me kind of 8 years to figure out. So um, he knows that. I know that. It's all about getting better and enjoying it and being a fun and a good fight and just constantly trying to improve myself in that. And if I become a mod, I'm not going to say no. I'll probably be surprised, and there might be a couple of words that your list would not improve. But um, it's yeah, it's not a goal. Fencing is something I do for fun, not to win or not to be recognized.
Unless it's crown tourney, then you're going to be in to win.
I had no aspirations of winning. If I won, I would take it very seriously because that is the point of entering Crown is to win it. But I would be very shocked and surprised, and most people must have COVID or like there must be lightning or aliens invading or something for me to win that. But yeah, I want to be in that first group that like fights in fencing Crown like that to say like I was there.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
so cool. Okay, so the final question.
Mhm.
What can the SCA do better?
I think the SEA could listen, and they could listen a lot more. I think we're seeing that with the whole variance for Crown. I think we're seeing that with the way that the SEA has changed over the last couple of years. I think that there are a lot of people in power that just need to listen to those who are not in power and just hear what they have to say and not come at it from a defensive place, not offer their own opinions or experiences, but just listen. There's a lot going on in the world and it invades into our little like bubble of pretend that we do, but there's a lot of things that could change for the better if we just like opened it up to other people and what they had to say. Because there are a lot of people speaking from a place of privilege because they have that opportunity, they know people, they're in the right place, they're in the right time. Um, and people have a lot of good ideas that would make the SCA a better place, a safer place, a more inclusive place, funner place, all those things. But we are so quick to want to like contribute our 2 cents, to like share our opinions, to share our experiences, and we get excited, and that's like okay. But sometimes we do need to just sit back and hear what other people have to say and accept what they say without feedback, without criticism, without our own opinions being added to the mix.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Thank you so much. That was the most succinct, how can we do better? What can we do better I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you. I thought about it ahead of time because I knew you were going to ask it.
We ask everybody. All right, so we have been, since Lucas abandoned me yet again, Aurelia Colleoni, a Bucaferno. I gotta say,
Perfect. So
Bucaferno.
good.
Um, from the East Kingdom, from Magalentia. Did I say it right?
Maligentia.
Dang it. Malagentia. Was my guest tonight. It was really, really wonderful talking with you. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun.
All right, and everybody else, thanks for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks for more Simply SCAdian, no title required.